Welcome to Lead in English, the podcast from BEAL, the Business English Academy for Leadership and Management. I'm Darren, and this is episode 2, Negotiating in English. Whether you're agreeing a contract, pushing back on a deadline, or finding a compromise with a difficult colleague, this episode gives you the language to do it with confidence. Today we have 3 guests, German business professionals who have all navigated the shift from negotiating in German to negotiating in English. Welcome Stefan, Martina and Klaus.
And I'm Katie. Darren, I think negotiating is where a lot of non-native speakers really freeze. There's so much at stake and the language feels so high risk.
Exactly right. And that's why we have Stefan, Martina and Klaus here, because the challenges are real, but so are the solutions. Let's start with phrase 1, the anchor. Our starting position is this: not we want, which sounds like a wish, and not we need, which sounds like desperation. Our starting position is this signals that you've thought it through, you're open to movement, but you have a baseline. Example: our starting position is a 12-month contract with a 30-day exit clause. Stefan, does that resonate with your experience?
Yes, absolutely. In German, we tend to state our position very directly, very factual. When I moved to English negotiations, I found that we want sounded too demanding and we need sounded almost desperate. Our starting position is this. That phrase gave me a way to be equally clear, but it also signals that I am open to discussion. It is firm, but not closed.
That's a really important distinction. Phrase 2, Darren, the interest question.
Help me understand what's driving that for you. Most people negotiate positions. I want X, you want Y. The best negotiators go deeper. Why do you want X? Because often the interest behind their position is something you can actually meet. Martina, you work in procurement. How does this play out?
This was a big shift for me. In German business culture, we tend to assume the other side has read the documents. They know the context. They understand the constraints, so we negotiate the numbers. But in English language negotiations, especially with international partners, I learned that the numbers are often not the real issue. When I started asking, help me understand what's driving that for you, I started hearing things like their internal deadline is the problem, not the price. That changed everything.
Phrase 3, the conditional offer. If you can move on the timeline, we can look at the price. The structure is always, if you, then we. Never give a concession without getting one. That's such a discipline, isn't it? The instinct is just to give ground and hope they reciprocate. Phrase 4.
That's such a discipline, isn't it? The instinct is just to give ground and hope they reciprocate. Phrase 4.
Let me take a moment to think about that. In English, silence can feel uncomfortable. People rush to fill it. But pausing after a proposal is a power move. It signals you're serious. It stops you agreeing to something you'll regret. Let me take a moment to think about that. You can even say, I'd like to come back to you on that by end of day. That's not weakness, that's professionalism. Klaus, you've talked about this before.
Yes. In Germany, if you pause in a meeting, it is a sign that you are thinking, that is respected. But in international English meetings, I noticed that people would sometimes interpret my silence as confusion or even disagreement, so I learned to name the pause. Let me take a moment to think about that. Just saying those words out loud, it reframes the silence as deliberate. It is not weakness, it is professionalism. And it stopped me from agreeing to things I later regretted.
Phrase 5, the pushback without the wall. That's a challenge for us because don't say no. Don't say that's impossible. Say that's a challenge for us because, and give the real reason. You've said no, but you've kept the conversation going.
The because does so much work. It's the same logic as in the chairing phrases. Phrase 6.
Phrase 6, the summary test. So if I've understood correctly, you're saying, before you agree to anything, play it back. So if I've understood correctly, you're saying you'll accept the extended payment terms if we commit to the volume by Friday. This does two things. It confirms you've heard correctly, and it makes the agreement explicit before anyone signs anything. Martina, is this something you use?
All the time now. In German, I think we sometimes assume shared understanding. We are all engineers. We all read the same specification. We know what we agreed. But in English, especially across cultures, what was said and what was heard can be very different. So if I've understood correctly, you're saying it sounds simple, but it has saved me from several very expensive misunderstandings.
Phrase 7, the close. I think we have the basis for an agreement. Let's confirm the key points. Collaborative, action-oriented, and it gives both sides a moment to raise anything they've missed. Stefan, final word?
This one I wish I had known earlier. In German negotiations, the close can feel quite formal, almost like signing a contract in the room. In English, I sometimes felt the close was too casual, too vague. I think we have the basis for an agreement. It is warm, but it is also precise. It moves things forward without rushing. I use it now in every negotiation.
7 phrases, 3 guests, and 1 very clear message. The shift from German to English negotiation is not about losing your directness. It's about adding the right tools so your directness lands the way you intend.
Perfectly put, Katie. And your exercise this week. Find a negotiation you're already in, a budget conversation, a deadline, a scope discussion, and use at least 3 of these phrases. Write them on a card. The goal isn't to sound native. The goal is to sound intentional. Thank you, Stefan, Martina, and Klaus.
Brilliant episode. Really practical, really usable. See you in episode 3.
This was Lead in English from BEAL in Verl. If your team negotiates, presents, and leads in English, visit beal.de to find out how we can help. Until next time, like and subscribe to beal-academy.de.